Hi, it's Yo, part 2 of finishing my video about making food stretch. So I was making the meatloaf and I washed my hands, but I did not use Germex for the reason if you're going to put your hands in the food, you don't want the Germex on your hands going in the food, because Germex is actually a laxative. It will make you use the bathroom a lot. So, I did my cornbread. I did my seasonings. Y'all saw that from video 1. This is video of 2. Like I said, new to these videos. In the break, I had to use the defrost in the microwave and defrost some of my hamburger meat. So that was kind of my cheater break. No behind the scenes here, guys. Everything is 100% crazy. I say a lot. I say like a lot. New to the video world. So I'm going to take my Crisco, put it on a paper towel. I do not want my meatloaf sticking, but I don't want a lot of grease either. So I'm going to take it and rub down my glass dish. Make sure to get the corners, because your meatloaf's going to give off a lot of grease. But this way, you're able to pour the grease off the meat, and it's not going to stick when you try to take it out. So I just kind of coated my pan with the grease. Throw away the extras. Next, I'm going to set that off to the side. And I have my cornbread and my seasoning in here. So, like I said before, I'm going to take my hamburger meat. This is about 2 pounds because, like I said, I'm going to use it for multiple things. That way I make multiple meals. I'm going to take the meat and put it in here. It's a little brown around the edges because, like I said, I defrosted it. So it browned a little bit. Now that my meat's in there, some people have trouble touching meat. You can wear gloves, whatever makes you comfortable, but I'm not worried about it. I then am going to take eggs, and they're going to go in here. You could do the 2-bowl method. I don't. Like I said, I keep it real. I won't tell you something to do. I wouldn't tell you to do something I wouldn't do. So, with 2 pounds of meat, I'm going to put 4 eggs in here. So, it's 2 eggs per pound if you're only making a pound. I'm doing 2 pounds for the reason I'm not only making meatloaf with this. This meatloaf is also going to be turned into mini meatballs. And they're going to be put off to the side and put in the refrigerator. That way I have meatballs for spaghetti. Meatballs if I want to do homemade meatball soup. Meatball subs. So this is going to be a multi-purpose. I also have Italian breadcrumbs over here. So if the cornbread isn't enough, I could add 2 with that. We're gonna use this and crumble it up in here and mix it really good. Hands it all. Get in there. Get gross. It's your family. So I'm going to crumble it all in here. I have 1 little piece of frozen still, so I'm going to crumble it the best of my ability. The less frozen, the better, because that frozen will turn into liquid. You don't want water in your hamburger meat. It's going to turn it weird. It's going to be gooey and it's going to be yucky. So you want it not frozen. If you could do the most out of the defrost, the better. Okay, so once you notice that you've got it all mixed in, and I have more meat than I do crumbs, this is where you're going to add, you can add multiple things. If you don't have breadcrumbs, cool side recipes, crumble chips, old chips. Doritos, Lay's, whatever. Those can go in there. Ritz, I use Ritz crackers. Or even if you have saltine crackers, it's been up there a hot minute, and nobody wants to eat them, crumble those in there. That works too. Meatloaf is something that you can play around with that has a lot of give to it. But I don't have those items right now, so I'm going to use the breadcrumbs. Again, I don't measure. If you realize that you put too much in there and it's too dry, you don't want dry, you want a little moisture. If you put too much in there, add more egg. It's not like you're gonna outbalance it. Choose one or the other to make it work. So make sure you pull it apart and get the inside, the outside, all around it. Plenty of seasonings. It should smell you should smell the seasoning. You shouldn't be wondering what your meat is going to taste like. You should be able to smell the garlic, the Italian. My stove is clean, by the way. I'm preparing on my stove. You might throw some. As long as your area is clean, you're good. Alright, so now I have this big old hunk of meat with seasoning. I'm only gonna use half. It's 2 pounds. So 1/2, which is about the size of a really big softball, it's gonna go in your glass dish or whatever you're putting that in. The other half can be pushed off to the side to make mini meatballs. Then we take this meat and flatten it out in the pan. Make sure it fits. You can also add Worcestershire sauce. You can add pretty much anything you. I add barbecue sauce, Worcestershire sauce, soy sauce, teriyaki sauce. It's just really whatever flavor you want to come up with. People are like, you have to I don't measure. I don't teach people to measure. I teach people to cook to taste. Because sometimes measuring doesn't work. If you go to a higher altitude, you have to measure it different than lower altitudes. If there's too much moisture in the air, we live in Louisiana. If it's wet outside, the measuring may not work. You have to adjust. So I hate when people put too much on a measurement, so sometimes it makes a difference in baking. I hate baking. I let my husband bake when he's home, so I don't really do that. We're gonna take this, let me go wash, and we're gonna cover it with foil. One of my favorite things to do is I used to own a catering business, and I would walk in and be like, what you got? What's in your refrigerator? What's in your pantry? Let's make a meal type deal. I got that foil. So I have my foil. I'm going to cover it. Like I said, it doesn't have to be fancy. We're not doing fancy. And 350 in the oven for about 20-30 minutes. So I have my pilaf, and I say that because we're going to check on it. I don't like to leave grease in mine, so I'm going to pour the grease off. So I have the pilaf and the meatloaf in the oven at the same time. In turn, we have that leftover meat from the other half of the meatloaf. I'm going to take it and make little meatballs. So we're just going to meatball these. Throw them in a bowl. If it starts to get sticky, because it will get sticky, you can pour some extra crumbs in the bottom and rub it on your hands, and they won't be sticky. These meatballs should not be they should not be falling apart. If they're falling apart, that means you have too much egg. You need to add more crumbs. Or if they're so dry that they're not sticking together, it's just kind of crumbling apart, that means you need more egg, less crumbs. So you should be able to throw a meatball and it stick together. It's just, you can add raw onions to these at this point. If you want to mix in onions, some chive, some green onions, some bell peppers, that's all on you. And no, my balls are not the same size. I try to get them the same size, but hey, I promise it's going to taste the same no matter the size. So, anyways, I do all the meatballs, and once they're done, I put them in a bowl, which I'm not done. We've only done a few. But they're in the bowl, and I'll take said bowl and put it in a Ziploc bag. The whole bowl with the meatballs. So I would take the whole Ziploc bag, and this way they don't crush each other. If you just throw them in a bag, it's gonna crush. This gives it some structure. So you take the whole bowl and slip it in the Ziploc bag without breaking it, but yeah. You slip it in the Ziploc bag like this and seal it up, and you put it in the refrigerator. So now you have another meal that you've already prepped for your next meal. I love questions. I love to know that people have seen this. Ignore the Punisher. I just picked a sweatshirt out. I like Punisher, but it's more or less my husband's. But I love questions. I love answering things. And let's keep it positive. There's enough negative out there. Let's try to keep things up. But send me meal ideas. Send me, let's make this a group thing. Let's stick together and do this. If you want more videos, shout out what you'd like to see, or questions about meals or kids or anything. Catch y'all on the flip side. Later, guys.